So let's begin this super interesting topic, which is Google Analytics. I'm sure you guys must have had some idea about it because you all showed interest and you all really want to understand this. Personally, let me tell you, analyzing anything in general in life, anything involving number game is my personal favorite. And when it comes to digital marketing, especially the very complicated Google algorithm, nothing like Google Analytics to actually support all your marketing activities. Okay, I know you guys must be having a lot of questions in your mind right now. There's a lot of data everywhere. You put something on your website. There is subjective data. There's objective data. There's just data coming in from every single place. So what should you follow? Should you follow your instincts? Should you follow what your competition is doing? Should you follow what your friends are doing? Something that has worked for somebody else? Should you go with that? Or you should peep into your data and follow your data? What should you do? It is something like a hard, like, your heart and my, head at war when it comes to data and instincts, because you're always inclined towards doing something really quirky, but then the data tells you, hey, no, wait, this is not going to work, right? So this today's session is going to give you like a sneak peek to this very vast world of Google Analytics. Before I get into this, I'm going to introduce myself quickly. My name is Aneri. I've been in this field for 8 years now. I have been, hands-on on the entire digital marketing bit since the last 8 years. This is when your Facebook was really small, your Instagram didn't exist, and it was a very different world. And day by day, digital marketing has been evolving so much, and we have so much happening today. I have helped a lot of startups set up the entire digital marketing. Now I consult. I have previously worked in mainly in the healthcare digital space, and now I consult brands for their entire digital bit, and I also train and teach students. So here we are for the next 1 hour, diving into this super cool Google Analytics.
Aneri, I am so sorry to cut you off. Actually, can you hold the mic a bit closer? People are saying their volume is a bit low.
Okay. I'm actually wearing my earphones, so I think mic should not be an issue. Let me just check my settings. Just give me a second, everyone. Okay, looks good. Is it better now? The settings
Yes.
are all fine.
Yeah, we are good to go. We are good to go.
Yeah, better?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to start. Anyway, I know it's a large audience, and it's a lot of people, and we have some kind of limitations. But any questions, anything, feel free to put it on chat. I will try my best to answer them. Okay, so let me introduce you all to what Google Analytics is. Honestly, before the lecture, I would like to know everyone's background, and if you all have a website, how can I help you all with it? But we can't do that right now, so I'm just going to assume, I'm just going to take us through some basics. What is Google Analytics all about, and what can it do for you? So obviously, to start with, you need your website. Okay, so Google Analytics basically helps you track everything that happens on your website or a blog site. If you don't have that in place, then obviously you can't do a Google Analytics tracking. So that is one requirement which you definitely need to have, to be able to do a Google Analytics tracking of your audience, of your website. But then, what all information does it give you? What all does Google Analytics actually tell you? It tells you how many people come to your website. It tells you how much time they spend on your website. Where are they coming from? All those inquisitive questions when you have, once you set up your website, who is coming? Where are they coming from? How did they get to know about me? Did they search for me? Did they come through some ads? Did they come through my social pages? Are they spending enough time, or they're not liking the way my website is? There are so many questions. Which cities they are coming from? What is their age group? Are they using my mobile website or my desktop? I mean, it's just a large world, and unless you don't have answers to all of this, it's very, very difficult to actually go and carry out your further marketing activities, right? Because otherwise you're just aiming in the dark. It's very important for you to know what is happening. Obviously, you can't just see one day's data and take your big marketing decision. Of course, it requires time, but without this data, guys, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to do accurate marketing when it comes to your brand throughout the year or throughout its lifetime. And that is why GA is so important, because it answers a lot of these questions, and almost very accurately. I won't say 100% accurately, because nobody can do that, but almost very accurately. Right? Okay. I'm just going to check if everyone's on the same page and if any questions coming in. Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, why do people prefer this particular tool of Google called Google Analytics? Okay, just a second. Before that, I'm getting mixed chats. Some people are saying that there's a low volume, and some people are absolutely able to hear me clearly. So the ones who are not able to, can you guys just turn up your volume, or I don't know, just check your settings, because I've checked mine. Okay. So why do people prefer this? Because first of all, Google has done this super smart thing of making this tool of theirs absolutely free. Very, very user-friendly and automatic, obviously. So this becomes so easy, and it's such a self-served platform. Like, you just log on to this platform, integrate it with your website, and you're done, you're sorted. You don't have to speak to anybody, you don't have to put any card details, nothing. It's just, you just log on to this, put in the Gmail ID with which you have probably put your website, or you made an account, and that's it. You just have to integrate your website and you're good to go. It will start tracking all your data, right? Obviously, at the end of the day, after tracking data, you need reports, because that's what's going to be asked of you if you're working at a company, or that's what you would want to know if you have your own brand. What are the reports? What are they saying? And it's so easy, because you don't have to sit with Excel sheets anymore. You can totally customize what report you want, how you want the columns, how you want the rows. You can actually customize on the dashboard. Just click the download button and you have the entire Excel sheet downloaded. So it's very automated, very user-friendly, saves a lot of labor work, and makes your life very, very fast and efficient. Okay. But is it so easy? What I'm saying, like, I'm making it sound like it's super easy. Is it so easy? Like, you just put in your Gmail ID and log in, like how you would do, like how you would log into your Gmail account? Is it so seamless? What do you think? Is there anything else involved? No, right? Well, whatever I've said, it's 95% true. It's absolutely seamless. But there's one little technical integration which needs to be done. Okay. And then it's, 100% seamless, right? There is just this one step which you need to carry out, because just by logging in with your company Gmail ID, it's not going to start talking to your website, right? Google Analytics is not going to start talking to your website. There has to be something more than that. Otherwise, anybody will create a Gmail ID and try getting your website data. Like, competition can get your data. You can get your competitors' data. So what is that little integration? There's this little technical JavaScript code integration that happens. Nothing to worry about. Nothing too difficult. Something, if you have even a basic knowledge of WordPress, you can totally do it. or you can just ask your website developer to do it for you. It's literally a 2-minute process. It's super, super simple. It just looks complicated. Okay. So let's start. Now, this is what I meant by it just looks complicated, but believe me, I'm also not the technical guy, but it's super easy. I can tell you that. A little flow diagram for everyone to understand what exactly happens. Okay, so just gonna deviate a little bit from here and ask you all that at some point while browsing on Google, or let's say any other platform, any other social platform, you all ended up seeing ads of brands which you were either shopping on, checking out. Has that happened? Has that happened? That, very famously known as the brand has dropped cookies on your browser, right? Always happens. We initially we were, freaked out about it. Now we've just got used to it, right? Okay, awesome. Okay, so everybody has faced something called as, cookie dropping on the browser, right? And everybody has had this, ads following you across platforms. So just remember that that's when you browse anything from your browser, they just drop cookies so that they can, track you and they can keep following you. So that's exactly what happens even when it comes to Google Analytics. Let's say you are on your computer and you look up some website on your computer, okay? And your browser, say you're using a Chrome browser, and you're seeing that particular website. Now that website has a JavaScript, a GA code, which is has a GA code, okay, which is integrated on the website. And as you browse it, okay, as you keep seeing that page, they drop cookies on your browser, right? And that's how they're able to read what you're doing next, or what you're doing in general on the page. So it's super simple. Everything post the GA, JavaScript code is just, the technical server information and the database information, which we can skip to. And then eventually we get a Google Analytics report. So what we're going to learn briefly right now is how does this integration happen? Okay. Now, what does this JavaScript do, right? This code has to load when you open that website, which I spoke of in the previous slide. When you open that website, if this code does not load, then sorry, but the user is not going to be captured on the GA report. Okay, this code has to load, and anyone, I mean, if you're not familiar with the code and how it works, you all will be knowing, and the ones who are not, you have to make sure that this code is present on all the pages of your website. Okay, because if somebody decides to just visit your contact us page and not the home page, you don't want to lose out on this person, right? So you have to make sure this code is on all the pages of your website so that the tracking can be done accurately. You're not losing out on any single user. Now I'm going to show you something very complicated. This is the code that I'm talking about. Okay, this is that complex GA code. Don't worry, you don't have to sit and make this code. This code is given to you. All you have to do is just copy, paste it onto each and every page of your website. And if you don't know how the technical backend of the website works or where to copy paste it, all you have to do is just give it to your website developer, and he's going to do it for you. Okay, so this is that 5%, which I said, it is absolutely seamless, but this little integration is required. Once you're done with this is a one-time process. You don't have to keep doing this again and again. Once you're done with this, you are sorted with your Google Analytics forever. Okay. your Google Analytics is now going to start tracking each and every person who visits your website. Where are they coming from? What is their age group? What is their demographics? How much time they're spending? All those questions that you have, everything will be done by just putting in this one code out there. Okay. So I'm just going to check the chat, just see if everyone's on the same page. This code is given to you by Google Analytics. So when you create a Google Analytics account, this code is there in the GA on your on your Google Analytics dashboard. So there's a section where you have to go. It's called the tracking code. Okay, and you just have to click on that, and you get this code as is. So all you have to do is just copy paste it from there. You have to place it in the header of your website. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So so far so good. I'm seeing some questions which I'm not able to answer, but they're not for this topic right now. So if I can answer your budget and marketing questions a little later, I'll definitely try to. Okay. So this is that one step that I was talking to you all about. Once you have, got this integration done, from like almost immediately, you're going to start seeing live data on your, on your Google account, on your Google, Analytics account. So now we're going to understand more about what data am I going to see and what sense to make of that data. Okay, so far it was just a basic introduction and how to integrate, okay, which is really a very, very small part about, Google Analytics. The major part is going to be this. Some, terms which you'll need to get familiar with. You'll need to make sense of these terms. And these terms are going to help you obviously understand what's happening on your website. Okay, so let's dive into certain terms. Post this, we'll actually try to open a demo account to show you guys how the account actually looks. Okay, before that, just a quick introduction about some terms. Your Google Analytics is going to give you something called as sessions. And I think you all must have, even if you have not hands-on worked on Google Analytics, you must have heard people talk about, oh, this month we had so many sessions on our website. Or, this month we had so many users on our website. I don't know if you all have heard of these terms, just as a conversation at your workplace, but these are obviously very digital, jargon, and they actually mean something. So you need to know what is a session and how does Google define a session. Okay. So every time a user comes onto your website, okay, and he spends a particular amount of time on your website, it's going to be classified as one session. And if you guys want, you can make a quick note of this. Every time a user comes onto your website, spends a particular amount of time, and I'm going to tell you how much time, that is called one session. Okay. Just for fun, any idea how much time, you have to put it on chat, how much time do you think Google counts one session? Like what period of time does the user have to spend for Google to count it as one session? Okay, we have extreme answers from 30 seconds to 30 minutes. And then there are some in the middle, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 15 seconds. Okay, 3,600 seconds. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's understand. So some of you got the right answer. Google Analytics by default sets a time frame to 30 minutes. Okay, now what does this mean? So let's say you log on to a website. Okay, you're just browsing and you come to this particular website. Till 30 minutes, whatever you do on that website, okay, up to 30 minutes, is counted as one session. But if you spend more time on this website, like say, you're going to spend more time, then it will be counted as another session. So 30 minutes is the default time frame. Okay, so whatever the user does on the website, he's just reading, or he's scrolling, or he's watching a video, or he buys something, whatever, it's called as one session. Okay, now let's say if you log on to a website, you're browsing it, and then you get a call, or you have to go somewhere or do something in the house, and your screen is inactive. Okay, say you spend like 10 minutes and you put stuff in your cart, and you're still browsing and you're still shopping, but you had to, for some reason, just get up after 10 minutes, and then you were away for like half an hour. Okay, you were just away from your computer for half an hour, and you came back after that. Now what happens in this tricky situation? How many sessions does the user actually make? Okay, listen to my question again and then answer on chat. Supposing you come on to the Amazon website and you're looking to buy something. You've spent 10 minutes, you've put some things in the cart. Okay, so at 1 o'clock you came, 1:10 you got a call, so you had to go away. Again at 1:40, okay, after half an hour, at 1:40 you came again and continued, buying and putting stuff in your cart. So how many sessions did you actually give Google? Put it on chat, please. Okay. Okay, great. So 90% of you all have said 2 sessions, which is the right answer. Okay, and some of you said 1 session. So it's counted as 2 sessions because the first session, which was for 10 minutes, okay, Google starts counting at 1 p.m. At 1:30 p.m., according to Google's default tracker, session is over. Okay, so when you came again at 1:40, that's a new session, fresh new session. That is by 2 sessions. So a lot of y'all, well done. That's that's the right answer. If you've been inactive and the web page has not been opened, then here there is an example of 31 minutes. Same thing though, it starts a new session. Okay. Everyone's with me on this? Okay. Okay, interesting question. There's somebody who's asked me, what if the user comes back in the same time frame? Okay, so let's go to cut 2. One is 1 o'clock, you logged on to Amazon, 1:10 you got a call, but you came back at 1:20. Your call was just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you came back at 1:20. Now what is it? Is it 1 session or 2 sessions? Let me know in chat. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay. So I don't know why some people said 0. It's definitely going to be a session if the user is putting stuff in the cart. Okay, from 1 to 1:10 is going to be a session for sure. So I don't understand why 0. But because this person came back in the default 30-minute time frame, it is the same session. Okay, it is counted as the same 1 session. It's not 2 sessions. Okay. Awesome. So I assume all of you all are now familiar with when somebody tells you that, okay, in this month, we had 100,000 sessions on our website. Okay. Again, sessions can be repeat users also. So when they say sessions, don't assume that you had 100,000 different people coming to your website. No, that's not true. If I come in today, it's counted as 1 session. If I log in after 2 days, same users, another session, all these sessions add up to give you a total session count. Okay. Okay, awesome. Moving ahead, what is a landing page? And before that, I would want to I would want you all to understand this little bit of a flow of a user, okay? Every user from some source, either directly by putting your website onto the Google search, or from somewhere or the other, they come to your to your website, and the page which they open, the page which they open, the first page, as you see in this diagram, is the landing page. Okay, and this landing page is a very important term to understand. It's basically any page that the user lands on. It does not have to be your home page. It could be your inquiry page, it could be your sale page, it could be your contact us page, it could be you are hiring page, whatever. Wherever the user lands is the landing page. Okay, and that's the first page. After that, let's say the user sometimes just visits one page and leaves. Sometimes they visit 2 pages, 3 pages. In the journey, it's obviously subjective. It can vary. In this case, we are assuming the user goes to page 2 and then page 3 as well. And then from page 3, they leave the website. Now, once they leave and they go, we don't know. We can't track them. We don't know where they go. Okay, the Google Analytics cannot tell you where they went after the last page. Did they open a competitor's website? Did they, just shut down everything? You won't know that. Okay, but the last page is called the exit page. So 2 important terms here: landing page and exit page. And all these pages obviously have your Google Analytics code present on them. So you're constantly tracking the movement. Okay. Now, if you've understood what a landing page is, you all must have heard of this term called as bounce rate. A lot of times, website owners or even at office, they might be saying, oh, our website has such a high bounce rate. Like our website's bounce rate is 70%. That is so bad. Like 70% of the people who are coming are just bouncing. What does this mean? What does bounce rate mean, and why is it important? Why is bounce rate important, and what is its connection with the landing page? Why have I brought it up while discussing landing page? So bounce rate basically tells you how many people came to your landing page, okay, and showed no interest in the website and moved away, like moved back or just left. And how much % of people showed interest and moved ahead in the journey of your website. Basically, this is what bounce rate tells you in a percentage. Okay. But then what is the default setting of a bounce rate? Like if I just come onto the Amazon website and I leave in 5 seconds, is it a bounce rate? If I leave in 10 seconds, it's a bounce rate. If I leave in 1 minute, what is that default setting of a bounce rate on a landing page? Anybody? 6 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. So the answer for a bounce rate, if a user comes onto your website, okay, and does not do anything on your website, on your landing page, I'll be very, very, clear, not your website, but your landing page. If a user comes onto your landing page and he does not do anything on your landing page, okay, and leaves before 30 seconds, it's a bounce rate. It's a bounce. If he spends more than 30 seconds, then it's not a bounce. So 30 seconds is the right answer. It was given on the slide itself, but that is a bounce. But there's another criteria. There's another way of measuring the bounce. If the user comes onto your website, but in that 30 seconds only, if they do something, like if they watch a video or they fill a form, or if they do some activity on your website, within that 30 seconds. Like maybe, they just come to enroll for a free brochure. So they just, come to your website, they put in their email ID and just hit the enroll button. Now, this will not take 30 seconds. They might get done in 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So is it still counted as a bounce? This person gave you their email address. Is it still counted as a bounce? No, it's not. If they interact or if they do something on your website, even before the 30-second time is over, it's not counted as a bounce. It's very much counted as a person, as a user who came to your website and who is counted as a session, and it's also counted as a user. It's not a bounce. Everyone's with me? Am I going too fast? Everyone's with me on these basic terms and how the GA measures, certain basic terms. Okay, great. I think everyone is on the same page. Great. So this was what landing page is about and what bounce rate is about. And exit page is the page from where the user leaves. Somebody asked me on chat if we do not know where the user goes. Yes, we don't know. Once the user leaves your website, we cannot track where he or she goes. Okay. Okay. Now there is something called as pages per session. Okay. We understood what are pages, like landing page and exit page and all the pages in the middle of these two. We understood what is session. Right? Now pages per session is basically a calculation of these two terms. So it tells you how many pages on an average. It's always an average, okay? Because you sometimes see answers like, 3.4 pages per session. It's not possible that somebody saw 0.4 of a page, right? But that's just, it's an average because it's all number crunching. It's an average. So it tells you how many pages on an average were seen in one session. Okay. Now, should the pages per session be high? Should this count be like 3, 4, 5, 10, or should it be on the lower side? What do you think is a good number for pages per session? Just imagine you have a website. What do you think is a good number for this? Okay. Okay, some answers are really good. I think, great, okay. So pages per session, okay, this tells us how many pages a user is viewing every time they have a session. Session we understood, right? In the first, in the first basic term that we learned. So for us as a website owner, we need to have maximum pages in that one session. We need to have users trying to explore our website, and which means that they're really liking what they're seeing. Like, they should go from one page to the other. They should see from one product to the other, or check out, like about the brand, anything. Basically, we want the user to see as many pages as possible. Okay. It should be on the higher side. Some of you said lower side. That's not right. The higher the pages per session, the better it is, the better reflection of how your website is doing. Okay. And what is a good number? People said 3, people said 5, people said 7. This number depends on, first of all, how many pages your website has. Okay. If there are websites like Amazon, which have thousands and lakhs of pages, then 3, 4 pages per session may not be a good measure. But if your website has 8 pages and you have pages per session on an average happening like 3 or 4, that's amazing. That's an amazing number. So it is subjective, but industry standards, people spend around like 3 pages per session. Usually 3 to 4 pages per session is a good number. If you're able to capture them and show them 3 to 4 pages in their session, it's a good number. Okay. Okay. Next term, next very interesting term. average session duration. This is again, it is derived from your session, which we learned, right? How many sessions happen in a month, in a week, and how much time they spend, how much time the user spends. So it's basically, again, what is the session and how much time they spend. Average of that is average session duration. It basically tells us that totally all your users on an average spent how much time on your website. Okay. What should be a good average session duration? It should be in minutes, seconds, how many minutes, how many seconds. What should be basically on an average, how much time is spent on your website in every session? Okay, if it's in minutes, how many? Okay. Okay, some interesting answers here. Average session duration is also around 4 to 5 minutes if a person is spending is a good number to have, which means that this person has interacted well enough on your website, has got the information that they want. Very little time spent would mean that they did not like it much. Too much time spent could also be an outlier because maybe they're really hunting for something and they're just not getting it. Maybe, again, it depends what your brand is selling. If they're selling, if it's an e-commerce website, then too much time spent could also be a reflection that maybe they haven't liked any of my products, right? But then if you have a lot of blogs and if you are IID, which has some amazing material on their website, which people can go and read, people can learn about courses, people can download course brochures, people can see presentations. Then it may be that you're actually consuming great content. So it could go either way, but 4 to 5 minutes or even 6-7 minutes is a good industry standard for average session duration. Okay. Hope everyone is having fun and hope everyone is with me. We've discussed the basic terms. Okay, that is sessions and pages per session and average session duration, bounce rate, landing page, and all of that. Okay. I'm going to check chat once again to see if any questions. Okay. So now moving ahead, and I think we, might run out of time. So I'm going to quickly move to the main part of Google Analytics. So as we know, right, the data is being tracked every time a page loads or every time a user comes onto your page. Now imagine this. Remember I said that if the person just comes onto your website and does not go to any page, still, just fills up a lead or just gives your email address and leaves. Many times this happens. Many marketers, they want to fill everything onto that main page where they get the user. So they keep a video, they keep some forms, they do all that, so that the person doesn't have to go to the next page, but still they get enough information. And to avoid this being counted as a bounce rate, you can actually put some interesting things on that page of yours, on that landing page of yours, which can be counted as events and action and sessions by users. So this is one little thing. It's basically called event tracking. Okay, there's a large technical aspect to this, which we won't dive into today. But what marketers these days are doing is they have some scroll buttons, or they have a video where it just starts playing, and then if you interact with the video, like if you like it or if you pause it or if you fast forward it, all these actions that a user takes, or if there's a button at the bottom which says call or message, and if you click any of those, all these actions get tracked And because they get tracked as events, they're not counted as bounce rate, but they're counted as sessions. So on your landing page, if you really want to maximize efficiency, you should have some events incorporated in it. And examples of events are a scroll button or a video which starts playing, and the person is, you know, has an option to pause it or continue playing. Or all these, any buttons or anything which is clickable that you put anywhere is can be tracked as an event. Okay, and then GA understands this event, and then it counts this user as a user and a session and all that. So it feels that the user is active, even if the person did not go to multiple pages, but was just on that one landing page, and reduces your bounce rate. Okay, so you can make a note of this. Tracking events is one very important thing that you all can incorporate on your landing page. Okay, there is somebody who's put on chat saying how they open their competitors page 100 times and then they leave within 5 seconds to increase their bounce rate. Well, I mean, not the best way to, you know, not the healthiest competition, let me tell you that. But it's just one user that's not really going to cause the damage that you're looking to cause. So maybe you can stop doing that. Okay. Now I'm going to take you all through a sneak peek, you know, into your Google Analytics, and we have like, you know, 15 more minutes, and I'm going to pay attention, because I would like you. I will give you all tips, and I would like you to post this lecture as well. Try some things hands-on onto, you know, in like you know, by yourself, because it's going to be really helpful. So I'm going to take you all through what is an account. Okay, certain levels that a Google Analytics account has. Every organization, every company should have an account. You can also have multiple accounts if you have multiple clients or if you have multiple products in the same organization. Okay. Every account is a unique account. Okay, and that is totally dedicated to one brand or one product. Okay. Now, under each account, once you create your account, the one which we've been speaking of all this while, you can create properties. Okay. Now, just make a note of these things. These things are just you know, just names to understand. You can have properties under your account. Now, what are properties? Your properties as a brand owner is the brand website. It's the blog for the brand. It's the app, if you have an app. These are all your properties, all your digital properties are counted as properties under GA, and you can integrate each of them. So if you have more than one property, like you will definitely have to have one property, right? Only then Google Analytics will work for you. That is your website. So if you have more than one property, you can have multiple properties under one account. Okay, so your account, and then property 1, which is a website, property 2, which is an app, property 3, which is a blog. That's the hierarchy. Okay, and every property has its own unique tracking ID. And then comes, okay, this is an example of what I was trying to explain. Under the account, say you have a shoe store, property 1 is a website, property 2 is a blog, and property 3 is an app. And they all have their unique tracking IDs, which you can integrate at each of these properties. If it's a website, then the GA code on the website. If it's a, you know, if it's an app, you can integrate a code there. So they're all tracked separately under each of the properties hierarchy. Okay. And next up, under property, the last hierarchy is a view. So when you're setting up your account, you just have to do this, and it's not difficult. Basically, when you log in, you just add your properties, and then and automatically for every property, a default master view is created. So you don't even have to create a view if you don't want to. Okay, a default master view is created. Every time you want to see your data, you have to just log on to that. So you don't have to really do anything, but in case you don't want to give this master view right to everyone, okay, and situations like that happen. If you have agencies working with you, or if you have different teams across different cities or different countries, and you don't want to share your master view data with everyone, okay, then you can create separate views, okay, and share that particular view with that team. So if there is a team working out of another city, just share a view, give it a name like shoe store Bangalore, and share it with the Bangalore team. So they don't see your master view, but they have full access to whatever is happening in Bangalore. Okay, so that's how view works. If you don't have any such any such requirements, then you can just stick to your automatically created master view, and you're good to go. Okay, this is just a simple representation of how a view works under property. So supposing this is the shoe store website property 1, you can have US region, UK region, and Australia. 3 different views created for different countries to view their data. Okay, can be ignored if you do not want to do this. Okay. There is one tip which tells you that, guys, if you do not wish to all the time keep opening the master view sheet, because that data is something which you should be very, very careful about, then try creating other views and try playing around with the settings and everything on that view, so that the master view is not disturbed. Okay, again, this goes for companies which work with large agencies, or multiple agencies, where you have lots of people in one agency accessing your data day in, day out. Just so that the data is safe, you can do this. If you're just one man or 2 people or 5 people looking into this, then it's fine. Then no worries. Okay. So far, so good, everyone. So someone's asking if we can track multiple websites. Okay, if they belong to different organizations under one account. Okay, so let me take you all back to this. So under one account, you will not be able to have different organizations. Every organization is equal to one account. So under an organization, you can have different accounts. Okay. So under one account, only different properties of that account can be accessed. I think what you're trying to say is, if you have one, one main company, and under that, if you have shoe store and activewear store, and something else, so then all those 3 can be 3 different accounts. Okay, or 3 different brands can be 3 different accounts. Like a Nike is an organization. They can have one account which can be Nike running shoes. One account can be Nike, activewear, and one account can be Nike accessories, or all of that, like sports accessories or something. So then it makes sense, because you have different brands doing different things, if at all they want to segregate it like that. Okay. Okay, so now quickly moving to how does your Google Analytics look like exactly? How does it exactly look? What is this all about? Make a note of this, each and every one of y'all. There's something called as a demo account, okay, which you can dive into anytime you Google this. So just write this, or try open another tab on your computer right now, and write access the demo account, and something like this will come up, the screenshot that you see on my screen. This little access demo account thing will come up. Once you click on that, you can access a demo Google Analytics account, which Google gives us access to, just to understand how it looks. So I really would request all of you to make a note of this if you can't do it right now. And later on, at any point, whenever you all have more time on hand, explore the demo account. It will really, you will really understand everything that I have mentioned so far, and I'm going to mention moving ahead from now. Okay, I'm just going to wait for like few more seconds for you to write this down, or for you to open this demo account. And let me know once you'll have made a note of this. You can try to access from your mobile as well, but generally Google Analytics is a tool which is best viewed and best accessed from a computer. So avoid using Google Analytics from your mobile, because it's super heavy data driven stuff. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I think a lot of you all have already made a note of it and logged into it also. If you all want, you all can go through the account as I speak, but I'm going to give you all a real sneak peeks into the 5 most important sections, and the only 5 sections that they have of GA, which are these 5. I'm going to show you all sneak peeks, and basically I'm going to make you understand what each of them means. Okay, what is the importance of each section? So there's something called as real time. And you will see all this, if it's open in front of you, you will see all this on the left-hand side. There's like a navigation section, and you will see all of this on the left-hand side on your GA demo account. There's something called as real time. Now, what is real time? As it means you can actually see who is on your website right now. Okay, and that's a very, very good way of understanding how active your website is. So if in case you have just made a new website and you're not sure if it's working or not, integrate with Google Analytics, obviously. Log into your own website from a couple of devices, and you will actually see Google Analytics telling you that right now there are 6 people on your website. So that is real time. It's not something that you need to see every single day. But yeah, in case of situations like this, or sometimes when your website is down and you want to know if it started again, stuff like that, real time really makes it's super helpful. Okay, so it tells you what's happening currently, like right now. How many users are there right now? What are they looking at right now? Okay. Then comes, so this is how it looks. It actually tells you right now there is 1 active user on your site. So this is a good measure. It will tell you how many people are there right away, which means that your website is working and it's tracking the code properly. So even when you set up your GA code for the first time, do this, try this. After setting up, you and ask some people around you to log on to the website and see if it's showing. Okay. So this is real time. Second most important type of report is demographics and interest. This is all classified under audience section. So for the people who have it open in front of them, you'll see audience, and then you'll see a lot of stuff under that. Like audience is the main heading, and then there are a lot of like subheadings. But overall, it tells you about your users. What is demographics? It's basically where they live, what their age is, and things like that about your website visitors. Okay, super interesting. Demographics, audience is super interesting because it tells us your demographics, interest. Basically, people who are searching for a phone right now on the internet, or these are people who are looking for cooking recipes on the internet. Things like that come in interest. It tells you where they're coming from, which country, which state, which city. It breaks it down to city level. It tells you what are the phones they are using, what is the network they are using. So a lot of in-depth detail about your audience is what a demographic report is what an audience report gives us. You have a I've put a small screenshot here. Of course, when you go through that demo account, you will see lots of such screenshot looking, material, which gives you these very easy to understand charts and pie charts and bar charts telling you the gender and the age split and all of that, and it's super convenient. But one very important thing to understand is always pay attention to the top right corner date section and make sure that you're filtering the right date that you want to see. Okay, always pay attention to that. Top right corner of the account, you'll see a date filter. So you can select last 1 month, you can select a quarter, you can customize your date. Always put the right date. If you want to see your data in the month of May 2021, select the month correctly. Otherwise, the data, what you're looking at, will not match with what you had in your head. Okay. So this is your audience section. Then comes acquisition, which is the third, section on your Google Analytics account. This tells us where the people came from. Remember, I said that you get to know where they're coming from. Now, this is obviously put very loosely, but when you click on acquisition, you see something like this. Okay, and they actually tell you if they're coming from social media platforms, or they're coming from Google Ads, or they're coming from just basic simple search, or they're coming from any campaigns you ran. So it actually tells you a breakdown of where your person is coming from. And if you can see in the screenshot, it's actually telling me Google organic, which means SEO, right? So 1865 sessions happened from Google SEO, Google organic. So like that, it gives you a breakdown of every platform that you're working or you have something happening on. And it tells you where the person came from. If they clicked on a Facebook post and they came to your website, it will be classified under social. Okay, so this is how the entire breakdown is. Okay, I'm just going to check if everyone is with me and if everyone is understanding. Okay, so somebody is asking, how does Google know what is your age and gender? Okay, so interesting question. Some of you all might be knowing this and some may not. Google, when you sign up on Google, when you made your Gmail account, you are expected to put in your birth date. So Google knows your age, and Google is constantly tracking your location because you're allowing geo access on your phone and other devices. So it's constant, so it knows which city and what your age for sure perfectly. Okay, like it definitely knows it, because either by using Google Maps, you have allowed your data, to share your location, or some point or the other, you have allowed, even for people who deliberately make an effort to not share their location with Google. Trust me, at some point or the other, you have already done that, knowingly or unknowingly. So it knows your age and location very, very accurately. Okay, so this is acquisition. The entire acquisition section, of course, it's got a lot of details, but it gives you a lot of percentages of sessions and users, and even users are further split into new users and people who are coming back to your website. So it's got a mix of all this data, and you can see like fancy charts and all that, which really helps you analyze the data very quickly. And then comes behavior, which is your second last and the most important section, which tells you about, after coming onto your page, what did your audience actually do? Like what pages they visited, what was every page's loading time, or what was the site speed. All these different things about the pages and their content and their speed is what comes under the behavior section of Google Analytics. So site content, site speed, what site they searched, all your landing pages, exit pages, all of that comes under behavior. Okay. Again, very, very important section of Google Analytics. And the last section of GA, which is conversion, this basically requires you to set certain business goals. And then under that section, you can track if you met that goals or you did not. Okay, like if you have a particular page on your website which you want people to visit, like it's the thank you page after payment. Okay, let's say you're selling something online, and every time somebody buys something, after the deal is done, after the transaction is done, there is a thank you. Your product will be, reaching you within 2-3 days. That page, okay, that thank you page that it's called, I want that page to be displayed 500 times in a month. That is my goal. So I set that goal on that page, and that's what happens in the conversion section. Of course, there are more details to this. It's a little technical, and you have to really like understand goal setting and all of that. But just to give you a sneak peek, you can set your business goals here, and that's why GA is so important. And it helps you track conversion. So this is how it looks like. As I said, if your goal was, you want the goal, the thank you page to be viewed, that's called your goal completion, to be 500 times. Well, you've reached 461. Now it's up to you to measure it's good, bad, great, or not, right? So this is what conversion section is all about. I've briefly taken you all through the 5 most important sections. I'm just going to come back to the slide. We've reached the end of the presentation, but let me tell you this, out of these 5 sections, the 3 sections in the middle, audience acquisition and behavior, are the most important. Okay, conversion, yes, it depends on your brand goals eventually. So it may be there, sometimes may not be there, sometimes you may not want to put anything here. Real time is just to see how active your website is, how active your GA code is. But since the audience acquisition and behavior are the most important sections, and I would really love it if you all access that demo account, which you all have made a note of, and explore these sections and understand the depth of information that it can give you from Google Analytics. And with this, thank you so much. I had a great time taking you all through a really, really quick crash course of Google Analytics.